Howdy y'all, thank you for coming to watch my first video. Pretty much all my videos are going to be based kind of like this, where I use 3D Paint to show a visualization of the information that I'm trying to display and explain. So the first video, fittingly, is going to be about the Freedom Dividend, kind of just discussing what it is, and then using this chart right here that I've so beautifully drawn to kind of give you an idea of how it's going to be paid for. So the Freedom Dividend works kind of like a universal basic income in that it gives every single adult above the age of 18 $1,000 every single month indefinitely. And of course, this seems expensive, but here this fantastic chart that I've drawn for you can quite clearly show how it's going to be paid for and how efficient this will actually be. So if you look at the bottom, starting right here with the green, this is actually a value-added tax, which most countries actually have now, most civilized countries, being like Europe, South Korea in Asia, Japan, most of South America, even parts of, actually a lot of countries in Africa also have it as well. So the idea of the value-added tax will be discussed much more in a separate video, but the basic idea is that it is a tax that's, it's money that's taken from the supply chain at different points in the supply chain. And that tax rate varies from country to country. Andrew Yang would try to implement a 10% VAT tax. So that would actually bring in upwards of $800 billion of revenue, which is this green area right here. The next largest area would be just economic growth. It sounds like a cop-out, I know, but the idea behind this is basically that the Freedom Dividend and $1,000 a month would increase jobs, would add 3 million jobs to the economy. These 3 million jobs, of course, are all taxable. So when you actually do the math and you average out wages for those 3 million jobs, you get about $600 billion in new tax revenue from income tax, payroll tax, etc., etc. The welfare replacement is fairly obvious. It's going to be an opt-in system where all current welfare recipients have the choice to opt into the system or to keep their current benefits. Most people on welfare will actually choose to opt into the Freedom Dividend, 95% or more, because they will actually be able to work a separate job and not face the penalty of losing their benefits if they cross a threshold, which the majority of people on welfare would like to work a job part-time at least and earn some extra income and not face losing their benefits because of that. The next one up here we have is the carbon fee and dividend. So a lot of countries are starting to implement this. Sweden did it. The UK has one. They don't always call it a carbon tax or carbon fee. Sometimes it's called something else. But the idea is just anytime a corporation or company is emitting carbon dioxide, there is a tax rate or a fee based on that. And after a certain threshold of emissions, everything after that point is then taxed. So for instance, using this bar since it's here, let's say you emit up to about here in carbon. This is not taxable, but once you pass this line and you emit this much carbon, this is the part that's taxable. So this would bring in $100 to $200 billion in additional revenue, as well as that money would then be distributed to the UBI or to the Freedom Dividend. This one is a little hard to discuss, and it might be discussed more in another video, but the idea is that the lower the poverty level, the more taxable income, the more revenue, etc., etc. That's another $100 billion. And then there's going to be a slight increase to the financial transaction tax, which is basically just the capital gains tax, and that'll bring in another $50 to $100 billion. So when you add all this together, you actually get slightly more than 2.1 trillion, so we'd actually be running a surplus, which should make people on both sides of the political spectrum happy, although I know that's probably not going to happen. But anyway, short video, intro to my channel, and all that kind of good stuff. I hope this was a basic introduction to the UBI/Freedom Dividend. If you have any questions about what I've discussed, or the bar graph, or where I got any of the information, feel free to look at the description or ask me questions in the comments section. I'd be glad to answer any of them in a future video. Again, thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys soon.